G'day guys, this is Captain Noob, and before we get into this wounding laser rifle business, I want to go ahead and check something. So, Harold, the one who requested this weapon, informs me that the Boosted Gamma Wave Capacitor has damage over time that is infinitely stackable. So I went ahead and did a little bit of research on this in the creation kit, and I'm going to go ahead and chuck the things on screen now so you can go ahead and contrast and compare the wounding effect to the enchantment, the Bernie enchantment that you get for the Boosted Gamma Wave Capacitor, and I'll also chuck on the incendiary effect just so you can see that we all know that that one's non-stackable and that one might actually let us see what is different about them. Mainly the dispel effects, that seems to be some of the main differences between them. But there's Baby Swan over there. The best way to test these sorts of things is just to go in game and check it out. So I've got with me here, this one is wounding, hotkeyed on 2, and hotkeyed on 1 is a non-legendary variant. So I'm going to shoot at Baby Swan over there and see if we can get a heap of damage stacked on him and see how we do. So, hello Edgar. So we got a full mag in him. Don't appear to be doing a lot to his health. Definitely doesn't look like we're hitting him very hard. Well, we're hitting him nice and hard enough, but there's no damage over time there. I'm staring at the health bar now, and yeah, there's not a lot to go on about there. So yeah, you could see that he was on fire for a little bit there, so the damage over time should have been hitting him. But you can see the difference between that and the wounding effect if we just go ahead and load the quick save back. You'll notice that the wounding effect finishes him off much faster. So there you have it, that's the wounding effect going there. And we've got a little bit of fire from the Gamma Wave Boosted Capacitor there, but for the most part we can rely on the wounding effect to bring him down nice and easily. So I'm not sure what you were getting at there, but I hope you didn't lie to me, Harold. Alrighty, so with that, let's go on Gunner's Plaza and see if this weapon has an effect on people with a little bit less of a health bar. Actually, you know what, before we get into it, there's a raider over there. Let's see if we can tear a renew butthole with this thing. So this is the one without the wounding effect. Let's see if we get a few shots on whether this stacks very nicely. Okay, that Stimpack isn't really helping you, or helping us, but if you could just stop regenerating, you can tell there that the energy damage is very low indeed. I think it's safe to say that this thing does not stack, and if it does, it's so minuscule that you won't even have an effect. Let's whip out the wounding variant just in a second here, and you can tell there that we're doing so much better with that damage stacking that it's barely even noticeable with the gamma boosted effect. So not entirely keen on it. That is why I always choose the Overcharged Capacitor, because that guaranteed extra damage certainly does better when we're fighting things. But let's go into Gunner's Plaza now. Alrighty, so we're in Gunner's Plaza now, and here's our laser rifle here. So one of the sort of things I noticed about this thing before we went into this video and started shooting people is that you've got the 36 round capacity, which is actually really good for laser rifles. I'm used to the 30 that you usually get with the Overcharged Capacitor, so it's a good change up. So with this scope on it, we get very good VATS accuracy at the expense of pretty heavy action point usage, but we can go ahead and snipe this gunner from medium distance away. Nothing too much, but it's certainly nice and accurate when firing at this range. We'll try to get her killed, although that bloody screen shake isn't helping. Fuck off turrets, you're very annoying indeed. We'll go ahead and hip fire this gunner away, and luckily that wounding effect is there because obviously this thing doesn't quite have the damage to carry itself. One more will do you in. There you go. Take out you now, mate. There we go. Wounding damage should kill him. Oh, hang on, I only popped the Stimpack. Never mind. We'll take him out just by brute force then. And these bloody turrets, we'll finish them off nice and easily too. Now, with the scope on this weapon, despite it, you know, being a heavy friggin' microwave looking thing on your gun, it actually is really usable and really usable. It's actually good to use because obviously you get that little tick mark above your enemies' heads, which is extremely useful on a survival game mode where you don't have the compass to help you spot enemies, which is good. And of course, the tunnel vision that you get with regular scopes isn't a thing with this thing, so with a recon scope you've got this whole rectangular field of view and not nearly as much tunnel vision, but there is still some. So if I wanted to run this weapon, a wounding laser rifle, I'd chuck on iron sights, maybe reflex sights. It doesn't really matter to me. I probably won't be using it much in VATS anyway. Wow, we're getting our asses handed to this time. This thing doesn't have good damage output. Again, this is why I would choose a overcharged capacitor, because we're missing out on about 30 damage per shot. And granted, these gunners are wearing high quality combat armor and will probably resist most of that. I still don't like missing out on a lot of base damage that we are using an inferior capacitor. We'll quickly spray you down. There we go. Running out of fusion cells at this bit. We've already sort of gone through half of our supply and we haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. So we'll go ahead and just peek out a little bit, take out these turrets because they like to stagger us a lot and that throws off our aim. If I could just hit that turret, that'd be good. There we go. So we're getting good sneak attack criticals there, but these guys have got some nasty looking weapons, so we'll definitely go ahead and take them out as soon as possible. Maybe we'll throw in a little bit of VATS for a bit of personal security and guaranteed accuracy and guaranteed stacking, which is nice. That should do her in. Oh man, we're in a lot of trouble here, so might have to pop a stim pack, which is unfortunate. But hang on, we might have gone into nerd rage here. I definitely saw the screen filter change. Okay, we are almost dead. I'm just gonna back off a little bit and let them come to me, perhaps. No, screw it, I'll just pop a stim pack. No use slowing this down. This weapon made me pop a stim pack. If that doesn't say anything about the performance of this thing, I don't know what will. Alright, she's just about dead, hopefully. Yep, took her out. And her mate next to her, we'll go ahead and punch some lasers through a wall. That makes sense. You can shine a torch through a wall, you can shoot some lasers through a wall. Thank you, Penetrator perk. Alright, let's go ahead and full frontal assault charge him in. And miss most of my shots because I'm a moron. And even though these gunners are super tanky, as long as we can get a few shots on them and get that good damage stacking, we can go ahead and make fairly good use out of a pretty bad weapon. I mean, laser rifles, unlike what they were in previous Fallout titles, they're not really that usable in the late game. You've got better options such as the plasma rifle, which even though it's not exactly a hit scan weapon, it'll still serve you better. Even for a sniping role where you just want to use VATS, because sniping with a plasma weapon is a pretty bad idea, simply because the projectiles travel about as slow as a Ford Falcon going around Conrod Strait. That was a V8 Supercars joke. Yeah. So unfortunately for us, we're going to use basically all of our fusion cells. I'm going to have to resort to taking these guys down with my fists if I am unlucky enough to actually kill these dudes within enough time. And just look how tanky they are. Even though that damage over time does look good, I'm still not satisfied with this weapon's damage in general to actually want to use this thing outside of, you know, just a video testing things out. And I'll go ahead and say it again, is that the boosted gamma wave capacitor doesn't appear to be doing me any favors at all. While it might be adding a smidge tiny bit of damage, like maybe like 5 damage onto my shots with a little bit of damage over time, I would much rather prefer the overcharged capacitor on this thing. There is no reason not to chuck on that thing. Obviously the game's going to rate it higher anyway, because obviously you need a higher science to actually use it or to equip it, or just lucky enough to loot it. So even the game says, look, you've got this capacitor on it, it's got the most damage onto it. Sure, you might not have a couple of the gimmicky damage over time perks that really don't help you out, but you know, if you're playing on a difficulty other than very hard though, it might be actually a little bit more viable for you. But I like to play it on very hard. helps me push weapons to the limit easier, and also I've been playing very hard since my PS4 days, and we are very, very lucky to end up on this fight with only 7 fusion cells remaining. This thing will eat them up like you wouldn't believe. There are so many weapons out there that would be better suited to using these fusion cells, so I would not recommend this one for Gunner's Plaza. Let's move on to Swan now and see how long it takes for us to kill him. Alright, listen up. If you want to make a wounding laser rifle good, here's what you do. You chuck on the Overcharged Capacitor. We've already got that one. That one was already on it. Reflex sight. Doesn't really matter which sight you're on, but it's to your choosing. And you've got the Amplified Beam Splitter. The multiple projectiles this shoots will all stacked with the wounding effect, so let's go back to Swan and rip him a new one with this one. Alrighty, let's use our improved wounding laser rifle against Swan and see how we do here. So, taking all the chems once again. Yes, indeed it is time to fucking kill. So, let's go ahead and just shoot him in the back here, get that beautiful wounding damage started. Now keep in mind here that while this does look rather underwhelming, we are currently hitting him with about 7 projectiles per shot, and all those projectiles are doing 25 bonus damage to him. So if you could do the maths in your head, you can figure out that it's doing, let's say, 3.5 zillion points of damage per shot, which is pretty good. That'll take out Swan pretty soon. But unfortunately, we exited VATS right as he was about to drop his anchor on us, so we end up taking a little bit of a hit there. There's another Miler. Let's see if we can pacify him. That'd be a good idea. Can I not pacify this bloke? Yes, I can.
Whoa, Krabby.
Nope, didn't quite work. That's unfortunate. Got a critical hit there. Thank you to a overdrive that I took. Let's see. Maybe I can pacify that ghoul. Nope, he's out of there. He wants no part of this. You know what? I don't blame you, mate. Swan's quite the tough opponent today, especially since I'm taking him on with a weapon which I would normally not prefer to take on Swan with. However, we'll probably make do with what we got. So, controlling the recoil on this weapon compared to what it was back on the controller on the PS4, it's just a lot easier. Obviously, the higher frame rate helps you out. You've got more time for your brain to react to the things when the game's moving at a better speed, and plus lugging around at 25 frames per second back on the PS4 isn't going to help anyone aim. So we should be able to take him out nice and easily now, but now he's coming in for his big anchor drop. We'll just quickly switch to VATS here and take him out that way. Now the reflex sight I've got attached to it will obviously help us out in the VATS department, so that's doing us well. Almost ran out of action points doing that, but that's fine. We can back off here. Oh no, did he just get his ass handed to him by Radstags? Man, that is embarrassing. What even are the Brotherhood of Steel these days? Oh, there he goes. Goodbye. Yeah, that bloke made a mistake of taking a laser rifle to Swan too, and look how it worked for him. Luckily for us, though, we're nice and invincible and Australian, which means we've got super tough damage resistance. Oh, what's he going to do? Oh, he's going to do a swipe. You know what? We'll go ahead and crit for that. And once he's done with that, we'll swiftly move in this direction and get around here so we can block up his pathing a little bit and put a big old shield here so he can't throw rocks at us. Although he managed to hit us with that one which blatantly went over us. This is because I think it's got the same tracking effects as a Fat Man shell or a missile, which if you fire it directly over them, it'll sort of stop in midair and sort of behave really strangely, and this is why Swan hits you basically every time and can bend rocks and the like around corners. But after he's done his little swipe there with his big old hammer, we'll move away in this direction. Med-X there is keeping us from taking too much damage from those things, so those rocks, so luckily for that. And we should pretty much be able to take him out at this point. Got another full VATS bar if we're ready to do that, but I think we are just about done. Thank you to the Brotherhood of Steel this time. They helped a little bit, kind of. Maybe did a little bit of damage here and there, but there you go. That was the wounding laser rifle. Don't need mods to get this one, but you better start farming if you want to get it, or you could use mods to get it if you're lazy like me. Thank you for watching, guys.